Music is my therapy. It puts my anxious thoughts to sleep. Helps me focus my attention. Avoid the fear of imperfection. I know it's never too late to sit down and pen another verse. It's how I seem to calm myself down, eternally conversing. There must be millions of us out there who struggle with their words. But when I'm stuck inside my headspace, I'm in a lonely universe. But music is my therapy.
Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends. A very abridged version of the intro there tonight because we are trying to sandwich two shows in between European Championship football and then they go to extra time. But anyway, we are live now until 7:30. We've got a lot to unpack, so I'm going to bring in without a shadow of a doubt the man that makes it all tick, the glue of the proceedings. He loves it. Stephen Thompson, how you doing, my friend?
Afternoon. I'm not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, but excited. Our club has just signed somebody, announcing it as we speak, which is what was all flustered behind the scenes and doing thumbnails and whatnot. But we're here. It's F1 time. It's another race in the bank. Neil is coming and going more times than George Russell goes into the top 10, then doesn't get points.
Thanks for that. It took 1 minute for that. Nice one.
Hopefully he'll join us through. Well, it's not my fault. It's obviously his connection issues, but hopefully he'll join us at some point through the evening. It was an eventful race yesterday. Talk to us about your thoughts first and foremost before we get into some nitty gritties. As a fan watching the race, what did you make of it?
I always sort of think, because I've followed Formula One for years and I've seen so much stuff. I always sort of think, what would a first-time watcher think, or what would a first-time fan think? And it wasn't an impressive race. You know, there wasn't a lot of on-track action. There wasn't really much to really talk about in terms of race action. It's all sort of happening behind the scenes and sort of on the strategy and that side of it, as opposed to on-track battles. But it was okay. You know, if you're Charles Leclerc, you had a great race.
Yeah, voted driver of the day, was he not?
Yeah, whether he deserved that or not is another question. We'll probably come to that, but
we certainly will. He's here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no, he's gone again. Oh, just like George Russell in the top 10. But yeah, let's go with Charles Leclerc because obviously he was voted driver of the day, and you don't think he was deserved to be driver of the day. So talk to us about why he was or wasn't in your case.
I mean, the fight back he did was brilliant. You know, he fought from quite a way back through the grid after another qualifying performance where he put that car where it shouldn't be. He almost caused a pile up in the first corner because he clipped Gasly's rear tyre and basically broke the left rear on Gasly's car, and that sent Gasly off, and he then almost took out, I think, Latifi and Giovinazzi as well. And then later on in the race, Leclerc tried to move on Kimi Räikkönen, cut too far across too quickly, and just clips Raikkonen's front wing. He was very fortunate not to get a puncture or do anything worse, really, to Kimi's car. So, yeah, his fight back through the field was fantastic, and it shows us what Charles can do, but he was clumsy, uncharacteristically clumsy.
So why do you think he was voted that then? What makes you think the fans went with it?
Because of his fight back, because it was impressive. I mean, the cars, they're not easy to overtake. You know, we've discussed before about the lack of grip and the lack of ability to overtake. It is a tricky circuit as well. It looks fairly simple, but it is tricky to get the strategies right and to really get the moves done. I think, the fight back was purely what got it for him because it was impressive.
Okay, all right. Is he here? No, he's not here. Ollie, how much do we pay for the goalkeeper? Well, we'll come on to the goalkeeper in the next show, Ollie. Do not worry. Mark Rattle, I think it's such a small track that it's difficult to implement your strategy, especially in the top 5 to 7. Yeah, we're there again next week, aren't we?
We are. It's the Austrian Grand Prix this time because this week was the Styrian. Because you can't have 2 Grand Prix with the same name.
Ah.
Had the same thing last year as well.
Explain that one to me. Just a little bit. Why?
I don't know, to be honest, whether it's just confusing or it's to do with ticketing. I don't know. Maybe someone will know. I'm not too sure off the top of my head. But we had the same thing last year because we had the first 2 rounds of F1 2020, obviously following the start of Formula 1 again after the pandemic.
Right.
We had the Styrian and the Austrian Grand Prix because you can't have 2 Grand Prix with the same name for whatever reason.
Fair enough. All right. Where do you want to go next then? Because it's just me and you at the moment, so we can go wherever we want. 4 wins on the bounce of Red Bull. Let's go with that one. Obviously, they took it again. It's 4 wins. You said last week a little trivia knowledge. Isn't that their first 4 wins in like 2 decades, 3 decades? Is it longer?
Not quite. They won in France last week or previous race. That's the first time since 2013 that Red Bull had won 3 races on the bounce.
Okay,
which is insane when you think about how dominant Red Bull have been in the past. And this is the first time in the hybrid era that Mercedes have failed to win 4 races on the bounce, which again is incredible when you think how dominant they've been the past few years.
Yeah,
really
dominant. But then again, that shows how dominant the Silveros have been.
And I think this is brilliant because we're not at that stage yet where Red Bull are the dominant team, but Mercedes are now no longer the dominant team. So you've got these 2 teams which are equal almost. I think Red Bull are now slightly ahead. You've got these 2 teams that are almost on equal footing, fighting at the front of the grid. And they proved how far ahead they are because Verstappen and Hamilton ran away from everyone. They lapped everyone way up to about 7th, I think.
It was interesting. I'll tell you who will make it very interesting.
Wake up to the, wow. Wake up to the money, turn me right on. You look like you got dressed with no lights on. A Superman that spin like a cyclone. Fit check, spin like a cyclone. Wake up to the money, turn me right on.
Yeah, but we're crap. We're not going to dominate any team.
And he's gone again.
After all that in the intro as well.
I'll just bring him in next time. But I went to press the button and suddenly he went.
Oh no!
I think he's struggling with his connection. I think he is. Bless him. But gives us a chance to carry on a conversation that I was rather enjoying there. So 4 wins on the bounce. If they're in the next place, but they're not in the next place, if that makes a lot of sense, can they make it 5? Do you feel, or do you feel Silver Arrows will have learned from this one?
I think Mercedes are going to make it tricky, but you'll have to look at it. If you have to say, we're in the exact same place, and if the conditions are the same, it's going to be Red Bull again. I find it hard to believe that it's not going to be. The thing that could stop them is rain. But Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton are 2 of the best drivers in the wet. So they'll run rings around everyone else.
Is it due to rain, is it?
I don't think so. It was supposed to rain yesterday, and it did just after the race.
Yeah, well, if they're both okay in the rain, then it doesn't really matter. It's not really an evener, is it? Talk to me about Mr. Russell. We've mentioned him briefly, pre-show. Heartbreak for George. I saw you again tweeted out Saturday, a great tweet, and I thought, am I reading an old tweet here? Is this deja vu? He won't get anywhere near it. What happened?
Well,
talk to us about what happened with George.
First things first. Mr. Saturday, he stuck that car in 11th on the grid, 8 thousandths of a second from being in the top 10, which is incredible. He was moved up to 10th because Yuki Tsunoda got a penalty. So he was in the top 10, not by his own thing, but almost. But he still had 3 choice of tyres. He was so close, and they nailed the strategy as well. And he was running so well because he was up to 8th, and he was running 8th on merit. There was no retirements ahead of him. He was doing well. He was ahead of a Ferrari, a McLaren, Aston, cars that on paper would absolutely trounce that car. Just look at Latifi, and he was on merit, and he came in for a pit stop, and it was a long pit stop, and there was a radio message about plan B for reliability, and then you start to think, okay. And then, he had to come in the following lap, and they retired the car. It was a power unit issue. They kept having to top up the hydraulics.
Okay. Is that what they've announced it as, is it?
Yeah, yeah. And I was heartbroken because I had to wait longer to watch the race yesterday because we were in London yesterday. So I had to steer clear of social media all day. And we got back sort of late afternoon, early evening, and then put the race on. And I couldn't check Twitter, Facebook, anything. And then I caught up, and I got to that point, and my other half, she'd accidentally seen part of the race or part of the notifications. And she said, "Yeah, I knew that happened." So, okay, great. So you saw me sitting there getting all excited and thinking Russell could get points, and you knew.
Oh no, that's a whole other debate though about do you spoil it or do you not? But
yeah, I appreciate that she didn't, because she could have said, "Don't get your hopes up."
Yeah, and then but then you would have thought that's a normal thing to say about George Russell. To be fair,
no, yeah, absolutely. Because how many times has he been in that position or almost in that position? And I've thought, oh, hello, and then no, don't get your hopes up because he might crash or he'll have a reliability issue. You never know.
Yeah. Well, we'll sadly we'll never know. Mark Rattle, it's a shame for Russell. However, I think he knows he's got the Mercedes seat. That's why I think he's not annoyed with his team. Do you agree with that?
I think the first bit I agree with. The second bit, not so much. The first bit, I think he does know that Mercedes seat is more or less his now, with Ocon being signed up at Alpine and sort of getting rid of that bit of confusion that we had for a while, with Bottas underperforming still. I think he knows that's more or less his seat now, but I think he just wasn't annoyed with the team because it's not the team's fault. You know, if the team had messed up his strategy like Mercedes have done to Hamilton, like Red Bull done to Stappen, or like Williams have done in the past, I could see him being annoyed, or if it was another driver that caused it. But it was just a power unit issue. It can happen to any of those drivers, whether you're in 20th or 1st. So it's that sort of thing. It's frustrating, but
is it going to rule him out in next week's race?
No. They'll.
It's not a Bottas then, where it's got to go back to the factory.
No, not quite. Send the entire thing back to the factory. No. I think he'll be okay. Engine penalties, I don't think there'll be any. But the good thing to take away into next race is that he knows where that car can be, and he knows he's got a good chance of replicating it. So, touch wood that they sort it.
Talking of Mercedes, let's move it to our weekly Monday night where you bemoan Bottas. How did he do this week, Valtteri, for you?
Well, it looks positive. He got a podium, but it was just another weekend.
That should be a given.
Yeah, well, unless you're Bottas. But it was just another weekend where he was never really on the pace. Neither Mercedes was on the optimal strategy. Red Bull absolutely trounced them this weekend. You know, Perez came in for that late second stop again, or sorry, the earlier he came in for the surprise second stop, and then had to put pedal to the floor to try and catch Bottas, and he was half a second, I think, down on Bottas as they crossed the line. So, yeah, I mean, to be fair, Bottas didn't really do anything wrong this weekend. He was just not on the pace of Hamilton, which we've come to expect, really.
Yeah.
It's not so much of a bemoaning Bottas now. It's more of a tolerating Bottas, I think.
Well, that's because internally you're counting it down. You also think the same other people do, that it's almost coming to the end. I think in a way, if it's okay to criticize Valtteri, which is, we need to look at Verstappen's running partner. How did he do this week? Because if Verstappen's winning, 4 on the bounce, blah blah blah, then we need to also be having an eye on the other Red Bull, because that is a fast car. How is his running mate getting on?
I think he's doing all right now. He seemed to suddenly just flick a switch when they got to Baku, and he took that win. And then he's carried that form through into France and into Austria. I can't get confused.
No,
so
with the aficionado, you definitely can't.
Absolutely. He had that fantastic podium in France where he caught Bottas and absolutely destroyed Bottas on those newer tyres. And it was so close to being the same thing again this week. Bottas was left out there on older tyres. Perez was on fresher tyres. He got the fastest lap before Hamilton made that late stop and nicked it off at the end. And he was just about 3 seconds a lap quicker than Bottas at one point, which is just insane. On a lap that is not really that long. It's just over a minute long. It's about 1 minute 7, 1 minute 8 sort of thing. To be 3 seconds a lap quicker is phenomenal. And I think he's doing much better in the second Red Bull and Bottas is in the second Mercedes.
Do you?
Mm.
Okay.
I think you just got to look at the championship standings now for that.
Well, that's true. Yes, that
Perez
is true.
third, Bottas fifth in a Mercedes behind the McLaren.
Well, should we try him again? Is he there?
Hello there.
Hello there. Moscow, it is Austria calling. How are you doing?
Not too shabby.
Good. I'm glad you could join us. We were just talking about Bottas and his race. He's into Red Bull. How was Bottas's race from your non-biased perspective? Not calling Steve, but and I am actually.
He turned up, did he?
Steve is actually just lukewarm about it, to be fair.
Yeah, I can't really say too much.
But Neil can. Go on, Neil. Go in on him.
Nah, it wasn't terrible. He just didn't. It was one of those races.
Well, that has been said.
Yeah. I can't say it was my favourite this season.
No?
No, not at all. It was one of the most boring ones we've had this season.
It also didn't help because, straight from the off, Norris basically said, "Here you go, everyone just come through."
Yeah, that was odd. I thought he might have an issue at first because he just pulled over and up there. Okay, there goes Perez, and there goes Bottas. What's going on?
Yeah,
and then he
a lap behind.
So what did go on there then?
It's just how much further ahead Mercedes and Red Bull are.
Fair enough. That's the difference in quality between the top two and the chase impact, which is a bit of a disconcert. Is it worry you as an F1 fan, or is it actually not that worrying because we're coming towards the end of the car? Actually, a different car next year, so it all could be different. As a fan, what do you make of when the chase impact?
It's normally closer. It is worrying. It's normally closer at the end like this because each team has had time to catch up normally. And it levels out. But as soon as you have new regulations, teams can do a jump ahead of the others. Yeah. So I know that can make it exciting because teams that haven't been on top can suddenly jump there. But on the whole, each team, there can be quite a gap between first and last.
Okay. We also were talking about Verstappen's running mate Perez. I was just asking Steve the question that if you're looking at Bottas through a critical lens because of who his partner is and how good the car is, with Red Bull's fourth one on the bounce, their car being just as good, we need to look at sort of Perez in the same microscope, if you like. So, how for you is Perez doing as the running mate of Verstappen?
Perez is delivering on a Sunday. He just isn't doing it enough on a Saturday. He's the opposite to Russell.
Russell. I know where you're going. Oh, it's true. But then, isn't that the most important thing? Isn't that like saying a footballer that trains well but plays poorly, or a footballer that trains poorly but plays well?
It's tricky for Red Bull. But sorry, Neil. If they need Perez up there right from the start, they don't need him fighting back from fourth or fifth on the grid. When chances are you're probably going to have Hamilton, Bottas ahead, and maybe a McLaren as well. They need him on that front row with Verstappen to be a rear gunner.
Yep.
This weekend did just stink yet again of how easy Mercedes have had it the last several years, because now they're actually put under some pressure. They're just riddled with mistakes, and the fight, where was it? They basically just said, oh, they're quicker than us. And they didn't decide to do any tactics whatsoever that would get them in the fight. They were, we're not in the fight. So they just done one stop and just done. That's us. Sorted.
Okay.
Where's the fight? Where's the passion? They're just down and dejected and waiting for some miracle to happen that they'll suddenly be like they were. And I don't think that's going to happen, which is very surprising considering at the start of the season we're hoping Red Bull were going to be able to compete.
Well, they're winning
at this minute. They're
One is it a Mercedes? Is it a similar issue to Mercedes then, Steve? That you got one decent driver and one average, or do you think Perez is better than Bottas? If you put them head to head, driving simulator, all things considered, all things equal, do you think Perez is better than Bottas as a driver, they're equal, or do you think Bottas is better than Perez?
I think Perez is better than Bottas, without a doubt, for sure. I think, Mercedes are in a very similar situation. It's trickier for them because now Red Bull are the quicker team. Chances are you're going to have Verstappen right up there, so they need Perez up there as well. Mercedes can obviously still fight for pole, but if Lewis gets it, they're going to need Bottas in P2. But the odds are right now, because it's that close between the two teams, and because I think Perez and Verstappen are the better drivers than Bottas, they're the ones who are going to be P2 and P3, and that leaves Bottas P4 or P5, wherever. If there's other cars that can do a bit of an upset,
P14.
So P14 because Bottas. It's Mercedes have got it harder than Red Bull at the minute, definitely. And to be honest, it's good to see because we've had so many years of it just being Mercedes. It's nice to see them have to work with each other, because if they balls up one strategy, they've got another car to fall back on. But Red Bull are right there now, so.
I have to agree with Steve. Perez is the better of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Bottas is better on a Saturday, but when it comes to tyre management and I'd even say out and out pace, Perez has the upper hand.
He seems to have a better racing instinct as well.
I don't really know what's happened to Bottas, because I always felt he was quite a good driver, but he's becoming more and more mediocre.
Mm.
He's almost doing a Magnussen.
He is, yeah. He started out amazing. I remember when he came into the sport in Williams back in 2013, people thought this guy could do something pretty serious, and he got that chance because Williams were really good in 2014. They were fighting for podiums, and Massa got that pole position in 2014. And Bottas was consistently up there fighting for podiums. And people thought he deserved a chance in a top team to really have a go. And there was a lot of hype about it when he got that seat in 2017, that he could take the fight to Lewis. And here he is, he's in his 5th season, and we're still waiting for that. And he's had his worst start to a career at Mercedes, or worst start to a season at his Mercedes career, sorry. So,
are you there?
I am here.
So, okay.
I don't disagree at all. Every point was, spot on.
Perfect. Turkey, back on the circuit. Talk to me about that then, Neil.
Yeah. Well, it normally produces good races. It's a good track. Whatever your political views may be, it's for Formula One. It's good to go there, and whether it brings in enough fans or anything, that's put that to one side. Just racing alone, it's good.
Well, we had back on the calendar last year, wasn't it? And memorable, Lance Stroll on pole position. Lewis Hamilton absolutely wiping the entire field with Bottas spinning every 3 turns. So it was a good race last year. Hopefully we can get the same again. But the only downside is replacing Singapore, isn't it? And Singapore does provide some decent racing. It's like Monaco with more overtakes.
Yeah,
you've sold me.
There you go. Well, it's a shame to lose Singapore because it's aesthetically quite pleasing. It's a beautiful city at night. It does actually provide decent racing from time to time. It's always been a track Mercedes have struggled on a little bit, or they've never really been as dominant in that circuit. And it's a shame to lose it, but at least it's getting replaced with Turkey and not some other boring Abu Dhabi-esque Grand Prix.
Valencia.
You've sold me on the Monaco aspect in the sense of I like the prestige of and almost the design of Monaco, but if you've got more overtakes, then I'm in. Because that means there's more chance of a better race.
If you want Monaco without the prestige, it's called Valencia.
Okay.
Yes, very true.
Fair enough.
There's a reason F1 doesn't go there anymore.
Well, okay. You mentioned things F1 don't do as we close up the show. Talk to me about they're not happy with Mr. Verstappen, are they, Steve? They're not overly infused with how he's celebrating winning a race.
Oh, I loved it. It was brilliant. He slowed down right over the finish line in front of his team and then just booted it and did some wheel spins and burnouts over the line. I thought it was brilliant. It was.
Mm-hmm.
It was
the highlight of the race.
It was the highlight, exactly. Why not? He's dominated this race from start to finish. He's been fantastic all weekend. Quickest in FP1, FP2, pole position, race win. He led for 71 of the 71 laps, which is amazing. And he just wipes the floor with everyone. And why not go overboard and celebrate? It's worth doing right in front of his team. And it was almost like he was giving a bit of a middle finger to Mercedes as he just did it. So, yeah, look how far ahead I am.
Why didn't they like them doing it?
Was it a safety aspect?
Yeah.
He braked really sharp, but he was way off the racing line.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't, as far as I'm aware, there wasn't anyone causing any trouble with him doing it. So it seems really strange. Along to go with the pit stop things that are happening now. They're bringing in a whole load of rules. They want to slow up pit stops or pretty much put in a mandatory stationary time, don't they?
Oh, that's ridiculous. I mean, with the Verstappen thing, the burnout thing, quickly, he basically, there's been issues in the past, obviously, where there's been accidents by drivers driving unnecessarily slowly and being an obstruction. But yeah, like you say, he was way out of the way. There was no one around him, and he was so far ahead, and he made sure he stayed out of the way. So why would you not? You've worked bloody hard for that win, and you're now getting closer to that first world title. But yeah, they're trying to slow up the pit stops. Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
Trying to slow up pit stops. And pit stops have become a bit of an art form now, because when you get a sub 2 second pit stop, that is insane when it's properly done. But yeah, they're trying to slow it up, and it's just, I don't know why. There's no what must be reasonings that they've sort of announced behind it. No,
from what I've heard from watching Sky, they're in the pit stops. There used to be guys with lollipops that would stand there and lift them up. The car would go, and back in when that was happening, you also had the fuel rigs that weren't detaching in time, and you ended up spilling fuel down the pit lane, which is one of the reasons why we don't have refueling anymore. And now they're adamant that you don't have the lollipops. You have a light normally above or by the driver's head, which will go from red to green. And that's generally done by one of the guys with a little button in his hand that tells him when to go. But there's supposed to be some now that have got more automated systems. Whether quite how it works, I don't know. But they're saying it's more, like I say, automated, done computer-wise, and they're trying to say it's unsafe. So they're trying to get around that and put it more into people's hands. But then Red Bull and that have said, but then you've got human error, and that will cost more than any computer will.
True.
I want them to go back to the old school pit stops. Maybe not with refueling again, because I think it's better without. But the lollipop man, I used to love that, because if you're standing there with the thing on a stick and then it turn it and away the car goes, I think that was brilliant. I want to see that.
They always used to absolutely boot it, and the way they used to wheel spin away, and now they're trying to. They would stop that if they could.
Yeah, actually, yeah,
especially
to be fair,
after Bottas.
I was going to say, talking of wheel spin, I said Bottas didn't do anything wrong this weekend. Yeah, spinning in the pit lane. I forgot to mention that. Almost taking out the McLaren mechanics.
I still like the fact that they didn't get Hamilton to do it. They got Bottas to do it.
Yeah.
Let's try something new, and let's get our man that we don't care about to do it.
This is it. This is it. And Luke Humes, to round up the show. No Premier in room today, Neil. No, we didn't make it in the room, did we?
No, I'm still out at Bromley. I'll be heading to the hotel in a bit.
Very nice. Well, safe travels. We're done with Dustin. For those that are Town fans, we are live in 60 seconds for the latest on Ipswich Town following today's signing of Vaclav Halarki from Salford City, the goalkeeper on a 3-year deal. So join us then. But Steve, Neil, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Same time next week, 7 p.m. With love, with care. Steve, lead us out.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching. We shall see you 7 p.m. on Monday after the Austrian Grand Prix, not the Styrian Grand Prix. So don't get confused. We want to see you all there getting involved, giving us your say. Hopefully, we'll be reviewing a very exciting race with an even bigger championship lead for Verstappen and points for Russell.
Absolutely. Not.